Gold prices are soaring. My mother told me in a dream. She left a pair of gold bracelets by my bedside, telling me to wear them to accumulate wealth and bring blessings to the child in my womb. But after actually receiving the bracelets, I secretly gave them to the neighbor's chained-up mad dog, all because in my previous life, my sister and I married two brothers and became pregnant at the same time. When I went for the prenatal checkup, the doctor said my sister's baby appeared to be deformed and suggested terminating the pregnancy, but my sister didn't take it seriously at all. That day, my mother appeared in my dream, and I found the pair of gold bracelets on the bedside table. After I told my sister about it, she slipped the bracelet onto my wrist in one swift motion. You always say Mom favored me, but after she passed, weren't you the first one she thought of? Just wear it properly. I listened to her and have been wearing this bracelet ever since, never taking it off. But on the day of delivery, my sister gave birth to a fair, chubby baby boy with a loud, vigorous cry, and my child was a freak with 2 sets of reproductive organs, who stopped breathing the moment they were born. During the prenatal checkup, my child was clearly the normal one. I realized that this matter was inextricably linked to my sister and the bracelet, seeing my child in such a deformed state. I was driven mad with rage. I immediately dug up my mother's grave and confronted my sister. Why did Mom have to die just to pave the way for you? I was sent to a mental hospital by her and died in deep depression. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day my mother appeared in my dream. Xiaoxi, I left you a pair of solid gold bracelets in the bedside drawer, a full 100 grams. Withdraw it tomorrow. Wear it well to accumulate wealth, and it can also bless your children with good health. Upon hearing the familiar voice, my back was instantly drenched in cold sweat. I realized I had been reborn. My mother's kind face now appeared eerie and terrifying in my eyes. After all, she had never been so good to me before. In my previous life, when I got the gold bracelet, my first instinct was also to give it to my sister. She said it was because Mom was thinking of me. She firmly put the bracelet on my hand and told me to take good care of it. I believed him. She didn't notice the contemptuous look in her eyes when she saw me putting on the bracelet. Before my mother passed away, she was seriously ill, and I was the only one by her side taking care of her. Before she died, my mother's thin, bony arm tightly held onto me, saying, "I've been blind all my life. I spoiled Lin Miao, that ungrateful wretch. When I got seriously ill, she was the first to run away. Only you are filial. You are my only true daughter." I thought this was her reward for my filial piety. Entrusting her with complete trust, little did I know, they were setting a trap for me, and putting on the gold bracelet was the beginning of my descent into the abyss. My sister and I married a pair of brothers. My sister always competes with me for everything. After learning that I was in a relationship, she repeatedly tried to seduce my husband, but my husband loves me very much and did not fall for her tricks. Later, she was caught having an affair with my brother-in-law in my wedding room. As a result, she had to hastily marry into the family as well. Because of this, her mother-in-law didn't like her at first. It wasn't until 3 months after the wedding that I got pregnant. No sooner had I told my mother-in-law than she also claimed to be experiencing morning sickness. So my mother-in-law declared, "Whoever gives birth to the first grandson first, I'll give them a 5 million yuan villa." My sister immediately patted her chest and assured everyone that she was definitely carrying a healthy boy in her belly, yet her behavior was completely detrimental to the baby's development, not to mention that she and her husband indulged in their desires every day, to the point where the maid would come out blushing after cleaning their room. They also hung out with a bunch of dubious friends, drinking, smoking, and even going street racing. She doesn't take the baby in her belly seriously at all. As for me, I actually don't hold any extra expectations for the child. It doesn't matter whether it's a boy or a girl, as long as it can be born healthy. So my husband reminds the nanny every day to keep my diet light. He also often takes me out for walks and exercise, which helps with a smooth delivery. On the day of the prenatal checkup, the doctor indeed said that my baby's position was perfect and all indicators were very good. Meanwhile, my sister's baby looked like a lump of flesh, and the doctor advised her to have an abortion. "You must be seeing things with your old, blurry eyes. My child is perfectly fine," my younger sister immediately retorted. I tried to persuade her to listen to the doctor's advice, reminding her that she and her husband were still young, but my sister looked me up and down, chuckled lightly, and said, "Sister, you should focus on taking care of your own child. My child is definitely healthier than yours." At the time, I didn't understand what she meant by that. Now, I understand everything. It turns out that my mother never loved me from the very beginning. Knowing that my sister-in-law doesn't respect her mother-in-law and isn't well liked, she used my child as a stepping stone for her. She made me give birth to a deformed child, so that she could have a healthy eldest grandson. It seems the bracelet is the medium for the transfer. In this life, I won't be so foolish again. letting them recklessly drain my child's vitality. Thinking of this, I looked up and gave my mother a sweet smile. "Thank you, Mom. I will definitely take good care of these bracelets." At the same time, I made a silent vow in my heart. I will definitely find a more suitable home for them. I woke up the next day. I took out the gleaming gold bracelet from the bedside drawer, exactly as I remembered it. The bracelet was heavy, indeed weighing around 100 grams. I went to the hospital first with the bracelet. Not only did I have a prenatal checkup, but I also had a full-body examination. The doctors and nurses couldn't help but laugh. "Miss Lynn, you are very healthy, and your child is very healthy too. There's no need to worry too much." I breathed a sigh of relief. At least for now, my child is still safe and sound in my womb. The child in my sister's womb did not take away her nutrients. I turned and went to the gold store. I had an identical pair of bracelets made, fully gold and of the exact weight, and tucked them into my bag. Then I returned home. My sister and brother-in-law are rarely at home today. Usually at this time, they should still be indulging in drinking at the bar. Seeing that my hands were empty, Lin Miao was clearly not happy, but she couldn't show it, so she spoke tactfully. "Yesterday was Mom's death anniversary. I dreamed of her. She didn't say anything, only that she had misjudged me in this life. And she wouldn't leave anything for me." "Sister, did you dream of Mom yesterday?" A hint of eagerness flickered in her eyes. Meeting her expectant gaze, I nodded and said, "I also dreamed of Mom yesterday. She said she left me a pair of gold bracelets. Why didn't you bring them? That was Mom's heartfelt gift." Lin Miao urgently grabbed my hand, her expression fierce. I took out a pair of bracelets from my bag and was about to slip them onto her hand. "Mom was just being tough on the outside but soft on the inside. When we were kids, didn't she always save the best things for you? Sister will give you the gold bracelets now." Lin Miao stepped back in fright, waving her hands frantically. "That was left for you by Mom. How could I take it?" As she spoke, she grabbed my hand forcefully, snatched the bracelet, and tried desperately to slide it onto my wrist. She didn't stop even when her nails scratched my hand, leaving bloody marks. Only when the bracelet was securely on my wrist did she visibly relax with a sigh of relief. "This is from your mother. Wear it well. Maybe it'll bless your useless womb and give you a fat baby boy." Her words dripped with sarcasm as she turned away coldly, clutching a bottle of strong liquor on her way back to the room. Once unbearable noises started coming from their room, I knocked on the neighbor's door. I slipped the pair of golden bracelets onto the snarling, howling mad dog. After finishing everything, I returned to my room. I continued with my aerobic exercises. In the evening, both my husband and mother-in-law came back home. At the dinner table, my mother-in-law looked furious. "You two keep carrying on like that every day. Do you not want to give me a grandchild?" My sister and brother-in-law exchanged glances, their sly sidelong looks starting toward me. "Don't worry, Mom. Our child will definitely be a healthy boy. You'd better persuade your sister to stop wasting her efforts. Judging by how small her belly is, she'll probably deliver a stillborn." She cursed me like this. My husband's face visibly darkened, instinctively about to scold them. Unexpectedly, Lin Miao suddenly clutched her stomach and cried out in pain. My mother-in-law immediately arranged for someone to take her to the hospital. On the way, she even blamed my brother-in-law, saying he was too careless about the pregnant woman's safety. My sister was in excruciating pain, her entire body covered in cold sweat, yet her eyes remained fixed intently on my hands, gazing at the dazzling golden bracelet. A trace of suspicion flickered in her eyes. "Sister, are you feeling unwell today?" Now it's clearly her who needs to be taken to the hospital, yet she's concerned about my health. The accompanying nurse looked at me enviously. "You sisters have such a good relationship, married into the same family and both pregnant together. Your sister is feeling so terrible, yet she's still concerned about you." A blissful smile spread across my face, but inwardly, I couldn't help sneering coldly. Since when has she ever cared about me? I just felt something was wrong with my body and suspected that her and Mom's transfer scheme had gone awry. "Meow meow, your condition is urgent now. My baby is quite well behaved. I barely feel anything in my belly." After hearing my words, Lin Miao's facial expression turned utterly comical. One moment it was ecstasy, the next it was excruciating pain. Finally, they arrived at the hospital. The doctor said her baby was perfectly healthy, even abnormally active. "It's been moving around constantly in your belly, that's why you're feeling the pain." Upon hearing the doctor's words, the reproach in my mother-in-law's eyes instantly turned to joy. "I was wrong to blame you." The next day, Lin Miao came up to me eagerly to show off the luxury bag my mother-in-law had just bought for her. "Sister, some things are just not meant to be. See, even though you're so careful, the baby in your belly isn't as lively as mine. You were born a defective waste." She spared no effort in belittling me. I didn't react at all, because clearly, even though it's only been 3 months, her belly is already twice the size of mine. She's panting just from walking. Even yesterday, when her husband tried to get intimate with her, he had barely leaned over when the baby in her belly gave him a kick. My face is still swollen, didn't give my sister a friendly look. Honey, doesn't this just mean our baby is lively and active? It must be a boy, my sister said ingratiatingly, looking at her husband, but she didn't notice her dear husband had already opened his social media app. I almost couldn't help laughing out loud. Indeed, quite lively and active. Hopefully when the moment comes for the child to be born, she can still say these words, watching her husband impatiently pull away and leave. Lin Miao took her anger out on me again. It's all because you've been eating too nutritiously lately. What does your hyperactive child have to do with me? Noticing my puzzled gaze, she realized she'd slipped up and immediately stopped talking. You eat so healthily, yet the baby doesn't move at all. Maybe you shouldn't keep it. Just get rid of it. After saying that, she endured the pain and downed a large bottle of strong liquor. She drank while smiling at me. Did she think the alcohol she drank could somehow affect my child? I smiled too and said, I think since I'm so healthy every day, my child is probably just quieter. Instantly, Lin Miao let out a mocking laugh, giving me a look as if I were a fool, then glanced at the dazzling golden bracelet on my wrist. Then you might be disappointed. The villa is definitely mine. She stood up with her big belly and shoved me hard, but I was fine. She fell to the ground due to the recoil from her overly large belly. Hearing her scream, her mother-in-law rushed downstairs. Lin Miao pointed at me with reddened eyes. Mother-in-law, sister pushed me just now because she's jealous of my healthy baby. Without waiting for an explanation, the mother-in-law slapped me hard and said, even though you're both pregnant, Miao Miao is clearly carrying a boy, otherwise, the baby wouldn't be so active. Don't you dare lay a finger on my precious eldest grandson. That night, my mother-in-law even scolded me for a full 2 hours. When my husband came home and saw my swollen, red face, his eyes were filled with uncontrollable heartache. I'll go talk to Mom. We're moving out. My brother and your sister have gone too far lately. I shook my head. To ensure the bracelet stayed on my hand, Lin Miao would definitely not let us move out. She might even drag my husband into it and get him scolded by his mother, since she's being unreasonable. Don't blame me for what comes next. The due date was approaching. I've collected photos on my phone for the past few months, sent by a private detective, showing my brother-in-law cheating and soliciting prostitutes. I immediately forwarded them to my sister using a burner account. Sure enough, screams erupted from the next hospital room. My sister's belly has been growing larger these past months, and she's been making strange noises. My brother-in-law couldn't take it anymore and was hardly ever home. We were recently moved to the hospital for delivery, and he didn't even come to see us. My sister's water broke from anger, and she was about to give birth, and at that moment, my stomach started hurting too. The doctors wheeled us into the operating room separately. When I woke up again, I heard the doctor sigh with relief. Both are boys, and they were born safely. My sister jumped up instantly. How is that possible? At that moment, my child let out a bark, startling the nurse holding him, knocking the child to the ground, yet it could crawl on all fours, bearing a mouthful of fangs. Lin Miao clutched her stomach, laughing hysterically. Sister, look at what you've given birth to, a monster. She pointed at the fair, plump, and quiet baby beside her. See what I've born, the true eldest grandson of our family. Your mother-in-law would be terrified if she saw this monster of yours. I couldn't believe my eyes at the sight. How could this be? Wasn't the bracelet's function supposed to transfer that mad dog's physical traits to my sister's child? Why did my own child end up becoming dog-like? Could it be that I was mistaken from the very beginning? A sudden sense of helplessness welled up inside me. How could this be? Lin Miao's smug voice rang in my ears. The villa is mine now. Blame yourself for being so naive. Did you really believe Mom would appear in your dreams to be kind to you? Upon hearing that the child was born healthy, and that they were twin boys, my mother-in-law rushed in excitedly. Seeing the baby barking wildly on the ground, she turned pale with fright. What kind of monster is this? Lin Miao turned her head and sneered at me. This is the child your sister gave birth to, a dog child. The mother-in-law kept stepping back. Linji, what on earth have you done? How could you turn my grandson into such a monstrosity? Son, if you don't divorce her, I'll disown you. Although my husband was also somewhat shocked, his instinct was still to comfort me. Our child might be sick. It's okay. I'll earn money to treat him. My eyes instantly welled up with tears, and warmth surged in my heart, but I still felt something was wrong. How could I have guessed incorrectly? In her previous life, Lin Miao relied on that pair of golden bracelets to transfer all the harm she inflicted on her baby during pregnancy onto my child. I stared fixedly at the child on the ground who was biting anyone in sight and suddenly burst into laughter. Lin Miao thought I had lost my mind. Brother-in-law, I think you should find yourself a new wife. My sister gave birth to a monster, and you can still laugh. Send her to the mental hospital right away. Who said this is my child? I demand to see the surveillance footage. I turned my head and looked at Lin Miao with amusement. From what I remember, I was still somewhat conscious when I gave birth. I clearly saw a small red birthmark on my child's right arm. The child barking on the ground had smooth and fair hands. Clearly not my son. Are you suspecting someone swapped your child? There are only 2 kids here. Who would swap a monster for yours? Lin Miao rolled her eyes without a care. My mother-in-law also told me to stop making trouble. It's your own belly that's not cooperating. What's the use of checking the surveillance? But the next second, Lin Miao's smile froze on her face. The nurse rushed over in a hurry, panting heavily. There was indeed a mistake in the report. What do you mean? Then who is my real grandson? My mother-in-law was stunned and asked in confusion. Both of these are your grandsons. But the one on the ground belongs to Miss Lin Miao, while the healthy one is Miss Lin Shi's. It was our momentary carelessness that caused us to mix up the 2 children. My husband instantly snatched the child from Lin Miao's arms and brought him to my side, saying sarcastically, "Indeed, our child is still the cutest, just as quiet as when he was in your womb." I also smiled coldly. "Sister, what's wrong? Didn't you say your child was particularly lively and active? Why don't you dare admit it?" The mother-in-law snatched the nurse's phone, and her expression immediately changed upon seeing the video. "Lin Miao, it's all because you did whatever you wanted during pregnancy that turned my grandson into this monstrous appearance." Lin Miao watched the video over and over in shock, muttering to herself incessantly, "That's impossible. Lin Shi has always been wearing the gold bracelet. Her child should be the monster." My mother-in-law had already moved closer to me, asking where I wanted to buy the villa. She even booked the best postpartum care center for me on the spot. Lin Miao, who had always been favored by her mother, couldn't stand any of this, instantly flying into a rage. "Mother-in-law, that's my villa. I've also given birth to a son." Yet the mother-in-law pretended not to hear her and continued chatting warmly with me. "It was my fault earlier, with you 2 living such healthy lives. How could you possibly give birth to a monster?" She then turned to scold my brother-in-law. "And you, bringing such a madwoman into our family, hurry up and get divorced." My brother-in-law didn't really have any objections. He's just as selfish and self-centered as my sister. Besides, my sister didn't take care of herself after giving birth, staying up late and drinking every day. Her stretch marks were all wrinkled together, looking downright disgusting. He had long wanted to bring his new lover into the household. "Fine. Once we get back, I'll divorce her." Just after giving birth, she was abandoned, and she screamed hysterically, but no one paid her any attention, although she is my biological sister. But in my past life, her and my mother's schemes against me completely extinguished the last bit of familial affection I had for her. My mother-in-law transferred me to a VIP ward. Lin Miao was left alone in the regular ward. She screamed hysterically, but no one paid her any attention. Her child was also confined in a dog cage brought by the nurse. No matter how thoroughly the doctor examined, they couldn't find the cause. Instead, they discovered the baby had even developed a tailbone. The skeletal shape was almost that of a hunting dog. This child, I don't know what's wrong, feels like a dog wearing human skin. After hearing the doctor diagnose that the child was completely incurable, the grandmother avoided my sister like the plague. All kinds of premium fruits were placed by my bedside. The doctor said we can go home after 1 more day of observation. My mother-in-law grabbed his sleeve and asked several times to confirm my son was completely fine before finally relaxing. "You're so obedient, following the diet every day and exercising, not like that wretched woman, always causing trouble." Watching her grandson smile sweetly at her, my mother-in-law's heart melted. "Tomorrow I'll go to the gold shop and have a gold ingot made for his 1-month celebration gift." My sister-in-law appeared in our room at that moment, her face full of resentment. "Why, I'm your daughter-in-law too." "Daughter-in-law, look at yourself. What kind of monstrosity have you produced? A dog. Who knows if you've done something to betray my son?" It was clearly her mother-in-law who scolded her. Lin Miao insisted on gripping my shoulders, shouting and pressing for answers. "Did you do something? Where's your gold bracelet? Did you tamper with something? Is there something wrong with the gold bracelet? Didn't you say it was Mom's gift to me, meant to bless my child's healthy growth?" Feigning ignorance, I frowned and asked, seeing her words arousing suspicion among everyone. Lin Miao immediately fell silent, afraid she might disturb my rest. Mother-in-law wasted no time in shoving her out the door. In my previous life, they treated me the same way, but now, everything has completely reversed. The next day, we returned home. Lin Miao also came back by taxi. At first, she didn't want to take the child she had given birth to, but the nurse simply carried it onto the car for her. The driver, also afraid she might leave the wailing child in the vehicle, set the baby down as soon as they arrived. Everyone around saw that the newborn could already crawl on all fours, baring its teeth at everyone. They began whispering among themselves, "My God, this is practically a monster. This looks exactly like that mad dog from the Wang family. You wouldn't believe it." But that mad dog at One U's place has gone even crazier lately. Just the day before yesterday it started crying like a baby. At that moment, One U was walking out carrying a cage. This dog cries every single night now. We're taking it to the slaughterhouse, staring at the dog in the cage. Lin Miao jumped up as if possessed. Why does this dog have a gold bracelet? One U, where did this bracelet come from? One Yu was startled by Lin Miao and retorted reproachfully, none of your business. Though I don't know how it got here either, it clung tightly and I just let it be, glancing at his son, then at the whimpering mad dog. Lin Miao instantly pieced everything together, pointing at me angrily, you damn well gave the bracelet to a dog. I found it a bit amusing and said, why do you care who I give it to? Didn't you say this bracelet could protect me? So I naturally wanted to do a good deed by giving it to a dog. Maybe it'll bring me some good fortune, see. Isn't my son now both well-behaved and healthy? Lin Miao, with a frenzied expression, was about to remove the bracelet from the dog's leg, but the baby hadn't fully transformed into a dog. The dog still retained its canine nature. It bit down hard, causing Lin Miao to scream incessantly. It hurts. Blood instantly seeped from her arm. The sound of breaking bones reached each of our ears. My brother-in-law spoke with disgust. Lin Miao, aren't you ashamed of giving birth to a monster? What madness are you up to now? Lin Miao turned her head aggrievedly. This dog is our son. It's all Lin she's doing. Let's put the bracelet back on his son, then our child can be cured. Mom said this bracelet was intentionally given to Lin Shi. That way no matter how much we fought during pregnancy, the child would be fine. In her panic, she blurted out her and her mother's scheme, failing to notice my husband's darkening expression. My husband loves me very much. He has always felt heartbroken about the hardships I endured in my childhood. After Dad passed away, Mom grew to resent me because I looked so much like him. Every time it was clearly my sister who made a mistake, yet it's always me who gets scolded and locked in the dark room, even university. At first, Mom didn't want me to go either. It was me working several months of odd jobs, doing countless part-time gigs. Who scraped together the tuition? There is no living allowance. The financial aid for impoverished students has to be split with my younger sister. Upon hearing about my misfortunes, other men would try to flee. Only my husband held my hand and promised to treat me well for a lifetime. At first, when he found out my sister had seduced his brother, he had thought about splitting up the family. I convinced him it wasn't necessary. I didn't want him to leave his mother because of me. But now, when he heard that his mother was still scheming against me even after her death, he could no longer hold back his furious roar. Mom, either we cut ties, or we split the family. I dare not let Xiaoxi continue living here, being manipulated like this by her sister, but the mother-in-law simply dismissed it as her sister's nonsense. She's gone mad. How could there be any talk of exchanging lives? You can't take my grandson away, but she didn't notice her youngest son's gaze, which was fixed on the dog's leg. After all, according to her mother-in-law's intention, whose son is healthy now, it's the eldest grandson. She will then take out 5 million to buy a villa. My brother-in-law was racing with someone a while ago and ended up causing someone to become disabled. My mother-in-law still doesn't know about it. He urgently needs this money now. That's right, brother, don't be so angry. At worst, I'll divorce this woman right away. She will absolutely not be allowed to disrupt the harmony of our family. My husband and I both sneered coldly at the same time. We both clearly saw the way they exchanged glances just now, but my mother-in-law was very firm. I pressed my husband, who still wanted to say a few words, and smiled slightly. That's right, why talk about dividing the family? With my mother-in-law taking care of me during my postpartum period, I can finally feel at ease. My mother-in-law immediately took out her phone again and bought me several bags and pieces of jewelry. It stunned Lin Miao's eyes, but she didn't dare to act crazy anymore now, so she could only slink away with her son and return to the urban village her mother had left her. As for that mad dog, because it had bitten Lin Miao, Wan Yu immediately handed it over to her. If you say this is your son, then it's yours. Don't come asking me to pay for your medical expenses later. The mad dog was also taken away by Lin Miao. My brother-in-law said an hour later that a friend needed him for something. My husband and I pretended not to notice that my brother-in-law was going to find Lin Miao, and we even helped cover for him in front of my mother-in-law. My husband sneered, "How dare they lay a hand on my son? I'll make them pay." He immediately made a phone call. "Old classmate, I need your help with something. I'll treat you to a meal at a 5-star restaurant afterward." My husband has a classmate, Kawu, who became a monk right after graduation. He is the best at handling these mysterious matters. That very night, he arrived at our home. After taking a look at my child, he breathed a sigh of relief. "It's a good thing you noticed that the gold bracelet was problematic. Otherwise, not only would your child's health have been affected, but even your own luck would have been taken away by your sister." They might have turned that bracelet into something else to give to your son. Here, I have a lucky charm pouch. Put it around your little one's neck, and it will help ward off misfortune and bring good fortune. I told him about my mother appearing in my dream. Kawu immediately cursed. Your mother is really something else. I only then realized that my mother appearing in my dream could also shorten my lifespan, from beginning to end. She was always paving the way for her sister, so that she could win favor from her mother-in-law and live a glorious life. Tears unconsciously fell to the ground. So, she never really considered me her own daughter. When my child was sick and hospitalized, I took care of her without even taking off my clothes. She might even give your sister some advice. Only those who work as underworld officials in the afterlife can send dreams. That means she chose not to reincarnate. All to help your sister. Tears had already dried in my eyes. I never thought she could hate me so much. I cleared my throat. Then how can we stop her from causing trouble again? Reported to the King of Hell. He's a fair man. After Kawu arrived, as if all these fantastical things were nothing, he took us to a nearby temple and quickly completed the ceremony. He had me stand in the middle. This is the gate to hell. Once you enter, pour out all your grievances. I met the legendary King of Hell. I also saw my mother standing by his side, holding a bowl. When she saw me, she was very surprised. Why are you here? Even if you died, you should be at the bridge of helplessness. I didn't answer her. Instead, I tearfully told the King of Hell about the dream she had sent me. Audacious. The 10-meter-tall King of Hell trembled all over. How dare you use the underworld secrets to disrupt mortal affairs? Drag him down and throw him into the boiling oil cauldron. He ordered someone to bring the Book of Life. It said that I had done many good deeds over the years and had been filial enough to deserve a long life of 100 years. As for my sister and brother-in-law, those two villains, he waved his hand dismissively. Their names then turned from red to black. They got what they deserved. The next second, I was teleported back. My husband quickly asked me if I was okay. I shook my head and said, I'm fine. Then my mother-in-law's phone call interrupted us. Your brother and Lin Miao are dead. They were killed by that monstrous baby when it went berserk and bit them. That baby is now at the crematorium. You two need to bring my grandson back immediately. He must not be harmed. Kawu patted his son's head. Don't worry, you won't have any more troubles from now on. After thanking him, we returned home. My mother-in-law seemed to have aged more than 10 years overnight. It's all my fault for letting your brother marry that lunatic. From that day on, she also fell seriously ill. He passed away not long after. My husband and I moved to another city with our son and lived happily for the rest of our lives. The end. That concludes the first story. Don't go away. The next story is even more exciting. My junior colleague always wants to freeload off my thesis. She said she wants to pursue a PhD, and all her classmates have published papers except her. I advised her, the time you spend begging me here would be better spent doing more experiments in the lab. Not only did she not listen, but she also called me 109 times a day. That paper was my ticket to graduation. How could I possibly give it to her? Until one day, she stood on the school rooftop, accused me of using her data to write the paper in front of numerous cameras, and then jumped from the 3rd floor. She fell into the flower bed and broke a bone. Meanwhile, I was cyberbullied, expelled from school, and later killed on the street. The murderer said her daughter had been bullied by my senior, which led to her depression, and she hated people like me the most. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day she first asked me for my thesis. 1. Senior, I'm not going to take the civil service exam anymore. I want to pursue a PhD. You know, my family's financial situation is very poor, and this is my only chance to escape my upbringing. Senior sister, I see that all our fellow students have published papers. Could you possibly change the first author of the paper you just finished to me? In the lab, my junior sister Lu Ning, wearing her brand new lab coat, sat beside me, looking at me with tearful eyes. The scene before me was exactly the same as in my previous life. Suppressing the anger in my heart, I forced a faint smile. Junior sister, let's talk somewhere else. In my previous life, before she jumped off the building, she posted the videos of her bullying me online. The views exceeded 10 million. A lot of the content was just our daily conversations, but through her screenshots, editing, and fabrications, I was portrayed as a villain who constantly bossed her around to do experiments, took all the credit for the results, and occasionally even hit and scolded her. After I was expelled from school, she became a big V on Weibo. That wave of traffic brought her huge benefits, and even prestigious universities actively extended olive branches to her. She successfully pursued a PhD, and, as a top student, participated in various programs to discuss how to build good mentor-student relationships. While I became a wandering ghost, Lu Ning didn't understand why. She glanced at the camera in the corner, wiped the tears from the corner of her eye, and asked why. These were all the details I had overlooked in my previous life. If I hadn't suffered losses, I would still have hesitated. It's just that the thesis in my hand was what I relied on for graduation and finding a job, so I didn't agree to her. At that time, I felt guilty and even asked the teacher to give her the database, to help her focus on writing her thesis. I would take care of her graduation experiments along with my own. She spent a year writing 10,000 words, but the teacher shook his head after reading it and suggested she try submitting it. However, no journal accepted it. In theory, with that database, publishing in a Chinese journal should have been a sure thing, but unfortunately, her writing was just too poor. Later, she turned her attention back to me, too. I snapped back to reality, maintaining a friendly smile, and led her over to my computer. Actually, I haven't written it at all. I've been busy with dating recently, and last time during the group meeting, I lied to the professor saying it was finished. Lu Ning covered her mouth, her shocked eyes filled with regret. But I clearly saw you working on the data last time. I turned on the computer and showed her each document one by one. There was no sign of my thesis, only the raw data. The meat that was almost in my mouth flew away, and Lu Ning was even more anxious than I was. Senior sister, hurry up and write. There's no time. No time for what? I pretended to be confused. There's no time for her to freeload anymore. She's in her second year of graduate school now and will be applying for her Ph.D. next year. In the end, she maintained her innocent image, swallowed her words, and shook her head. Before leaving, she glanced back at my computer. In my previous life, I treasured this thesis like a precious gem, carefully storing it on a USB drive, so of course, there were no traces left on the computer. I remembered that the advisor also had a database. In her previous life, Lu Ning cried and threatened to jump off a building, which frightened her supervisor so much that he quickly handed over the database he had. I've seen it. With a few more experiments added to that database, it could produce a first-year SCI paper. Since she could ask for it, why can't I? I knocked on my supervisor's office door, pulled up a stool, sat down beside him, and started crying. Teacher, I feel like jumping off a building. The supervisor panicked. 3. Teacher, you've assigned graduate student assistants to all the other doctoral students in our group. They can both learn and help out, and in the end, the results can be shared. The other doctoral students have 4 or 5 papers by the time they graduate, but I only have 1, and I don't even know which journal to submit it to. The teacher smacked his lips and asked guiltily, didn't I assign Lu Ning to you? During her first year of graduate school, Lu Ning was assigned to another senior student in the research group. According to that senior, Lu Ning often complained of insomnia at night, which made it impossible for her to conduct experiments during the day. Instead, she would frequently call him in the middle of the night, asking him to come over and teach her. She also hung up on his girlfriend's call to him without permission. I looked puzzled. Teacher, aren't you clear about why she came to me? At least there's one more person. So it should be helpful to you, right? Helpful to me. It's just that I'm too soft-hearted, taking in someone no one else wanted. At first, I thought we shouldn't judge a person based on rumors. Maybe Lu Ning was also framed, and to avoid embarrassing her, I agreed without hesitation. Who would have thought that she finds even holding a bottle tiring, and constantly uses her insomnia last night or recent neurasthenia as an excuse to pressure me into helping her with tasks. Such a simple step. And even after teaching her 10 times, she still can't get it right. Helping is not allowed, but hindering is perfectly fine. The teacher frowned at me. Last time she used the reagent, she forgot to put it back in the refrigerator after using it. A $5,000 reagent was used only once. In my previous life, I covered for her and borrowed from other research groups myself, just to keep her from being scolded by the teacher. The teacher keeps a close eye on research funds. Even regular reagents costing over $300 have to be reported to him, so you can imagine how it would be for a $5,000 reagent. She always contacted me late at night, disrupting my rest and slowing down the experiment progress. I'm afraid the research project won't be completed on time. She hasn't done any experiments at all, yet she blames me for delaying her civil service exam preparation. She spread rumors about me to outsiders, saying that even scoring 50 points was my fault. And she slandered the reputation of our research group. She also said that you, teacher, are biased and don't give her any resources at all. The teacher's face gradually turned red. This Lu Ning, when she first came, she told me in my office that her family was in poor condition, so I even gave her a bit more financial aid each month than usual. She really doesn't know what's good for her. The teacher actually knew Lu Ning's character very well. In my previous life, I repeatedly sought help from the teacher, asking him to persuade Lu Ning, in his capacity as a teacher, to stop harassing me, but the teacher, afraid of causing trouble, kept pushing her back to me. This time, I made my complaint in advance. The teacher had no way to handle Lu Ning, this hot potato, and couldn't just pass her off to others again. He would definitely try to appease me with some benefits first, as expected. Think for a moment, forget it. The teacher waved his hand. You've worked hard during this time. I have another database here. You can use it. There were 30 missed calls on the phone. Lu Ning's WeChat messages were also bombarding me. Senior sister, where are you? People who don't know better might think she's some kind of creep with a crush on me. I didn't reply to the message and was organizing data in the library. My roommate called, and she spoke in a frightened tone. Ching ching. Come back quickly. A girl barged into our dorm without knocking and pulled open my curtain. I was sleeping without any clothes on and was scared to death. When I asked who she was, she said she's your junior and is looking for you. I calmed her down. In my previous life, Lu Ning even followed me to the restroom door and cried about her misfortunes just to get the thesis from me. She always goes to extremes in everything she does, stopping at nothing to achieve her goals. I went out and called my junior sister. Hey. Junior sister, what's up? My voice sounded as if I had just crawled out of bed. Senior sister, where have you been? I've been looking for you, but you're not in the dorm. How did you know? I asked her on purpose. I just passed by your dorm and went in to take a look. Then I won't hide it from you. I went out to have fun with my boyfriend. She was very anxious. Senior, stop playing around. There's no time left. Let me supervise you in writing your thesis. I'm in my second year of my PhD. She's in her second year of her master's, and I still have time. All right, I replied perfunctorily and hung up the phone. Supervise me, what right does she have? On my way back to the dorm in the evening, carrying my computer, I ran into Lu Ning again. How's the thesis going, senior? Suppressing the urge to slap her, I said irritably. It's so hard, I only wrote one word this afternoon. Seeing her impatient with my lack of progress expression, I leaned in and asked. But I learned something in another area. Let me teach you. She immediately turned her head, her voice trembling with excitement. What, senior sister, do you have another article? I gestured with my fingers in a way that was not suitable for children. Like this? It goes deeper. You should try it when you get back. Her face instantly flushed red. I remember her telling me how important a girl's first time is, and that she wanted to save it for her husband, actually. She should have added a suffix, a wealthy husband. In her previous life, after she started her PhD, she was dubbed the academic dodgy. Her husband was the dean of the school, and through that connection, she published in top-tier journals and became a young, accomplished professor. After the dean divorced, they also restructured their family together, but now, she had no experience in this area, blushed, glanced at me, and ran away. Be disappointed in me, Lu Ning, I'm a love brain. Don't even think about taking a single cent from me. 5. When I returned to the dormitory late at night, I was full of energy and worked frantically on my paper for 3 hours. During this time, my junior continued to send me messages, and I've already heard these words 800 times. Senior, you know, my family is also from the countryside. Senior, you're such a good person, you must work hard. We all need to change our destinies. Senior, it's okay to date, but don't be obsessed with love. There's also a video of a strong woman below. Men are like clothes, career is like limbs. If you want to live well, you have to keep the money in your own hands. If only these things could be considered evidence, I'd really want to call the police. During the weekly group meeting, Lu Ning's eyes lit up as soon as he saw me. I was startled by her and found a corner to sit in, keeping my head down as much as possible, muttering silently, "Don't see me, don't see me." When I looked up again, the person beside me had changed. Lu Ning was now sitting next to me, waving. Senior, did you see the message I shared with you? How's your thesis coming along? So that's why she was so happy. She thought I had taken her advice and started working hard. I pointed to my dark circles and whispered, I tried. It's really deep. Been here several times. Lu Ning froze momentarily, her complexion shifting from pale to dark then flushing red. She sighed with an expression of speechless exasperation. As the group meeting neared its end, my junior colleague had another erratic episode, actually standing up to accuse me. Professor, I'm just concerned about senior sister. She's been very neglectful lately, hasn't done any work for days. Do you even hear yourself talking? No one could slack off more than you do. None of your damn business. Everyone looked at Lu Ning with confusion and disdain in their eyes. Today she reported me. Who knows who it'll be tomorrow? I put on an innocent face and shook my head vigorously. The classmates around me started speaking up for me. Teacher, Su Qing is actually very diligent. On the contrary, Junior Lu Ning, I've hardly ever seen her in the lab. Lu Ning, seeing someone siding with me, became even more aggrieved. You're talking nonsense. I was just urging senior sister, out of good intentions. How can you say such things about me? The people around started arguing noisily. Lu Ning had always thought everyone was bullying her and even reported this to the teacher, causing the teacher to criticize each of them individually. Finally seizing the opportunity, someone retorted, does senior sister Su Qing need your urging? Why do you care what she does? You're going too far, she argued defensively, her eyes reddening. Then tell me, what's that instrument on the 5th floor? The instrument on the 5th floor is commonly used in experiments. Probably everyone in the group knows except her. She stammered and couldn't answer. The teacher gave her a speechless glance, but perhaps fearing she might cause more trouble, signaled everyone to stop. I was about to leave but turned back unwillingly. He pointed at Lu Ning. I haven't mentioned you yet. Don't waste reagents anymore. So the teacher cares so much about funding. If I had known earlier that in my past life. The teacher still defended Lu Ning on the surface and kept her by my side. I should have exposed this matter. Luckily, I gave the stingy teacher a heads up. I could almost hear the sound of 5,000 yuan bleeding in his heart. The teacher then added, however, your group's progress is very slow, lagging far behind others. As soon as the teacher finished speaking, I immediately stood up and said, Teacher, I've been suffering from insomnia and neurasthenia lately, so I need to rest. Lu Ning's words got stuck in her throat. She never expected me to steal her line. Leaving her no choice but to suppress her anger and nod. After the teacher left, my junior sister grabbed me and scolded, Senior sister, how could you do that? What's wrong? Lately, 5 times a night has been exhausting, and my nerves are a bit weak. After a long pause, she dropped a line, take care of yourself. Encountering a lazy donkey, even if the donkey driver works themselves to death, they won't get good results. 6. Lu Ning also realized this. Seeing that I hadn't been to the lab for several days and kept flaunting my affection on social media, he finally couldn't sit still anymore. A classmate from her same year published another paper. By the time I reappeared in the lab, she had joined another group. We crossed paths face to face, but she treated me like air and walked straight past. Just as well, saves me the trouble. The team leader she's currently following is Yang Yu, a male student from the same year as me, who's notoriously difficult to deal with. The teacher probably did it on purpose, assigning her to work with Yang Yu on experiments, but Lu Ning wears a smile. She likely only knows about Yang Yu's achievements and hasn't heard about his personality. Yang Yu is famously sharp-tongued. Half a day passed, and Yang Yu messaged me privately on WeChat, asking me to step outside. How did you teach her? He spoke up, his face full of impatience. When she was with me, she learned pretty quickly and was very diligent. Otherwise, why would she rush to find you the moment I didn't have experiments? I said to him earnestly that he should cherish this promising talent, but to Yang Yu's ears, everything took on a different meaning. You mean she dislikes me and is doing it on purpose? How stupid, how lazy, she can't even be bothered to prepare alcohol and gives me attitude. Doesn't she treat you the same way? Yang Yu's breathing grew louder, her frown deepening. I shook my head. She's very well behaved. She even massaged my shoulders and brought me water, and she's so sweet with her words. I covered my ears and returned to my seat. 7. I was conducting an experiment when I caught a glimpse of Yang Yu entering, followed by Lu Ning. Lu Ning was radiating a low-pressure aura. Prepare the reagents for me. If you can't do it properly, don't even think about eating. You can't even handle such a simple task. What are you even good for? Don't make people think you're worse than an elementary school student. Lu Ning hung his head and nodded timidly. For the first time, I saw Lu Ning being put in her place, and I was overjoyed inside. Yang Yu continued, with your attitude, how dare you talk to me about pursuing a PhD? What qualifications do you have? I'd like to know. Lu Ning didn't say a word. The pipette felt clumsy in her hands, and she accidentally dropped it. How clumsy? If you break it, no matter how poor your family is, you'll have to pay for it. Lu Ning actually told Yang Yu about it too. Yang Yu wouldn't care about these things. I've never seen someone as foolish as you. What's going on in that head of yours? Yang Yu's verbal assault was too intense, and listening to it was giving me a headache. I quickly finished adding the reagents and prepared to leave, while Lu Ning looked at me with pleading eyes. In my previous life, every time she looked at me with those pitiful eyes, my heart would soften. If reagents were wasted, it was fine. I would take the blame for her. If she didn't know how to do an experiment, it was fine. I could teach her again. If she couldn't sleep, I would take on part of her experiments. It wasn't until she twisted my kindness into malice on the rooftop, turning everyone's criticism toward me, that I finally understood. This person in front of me was not worth my efforts. I picked up on her signal and said to Yang Yu, you're being too harsh. Do you know how much our advisor dotes on our junior? She gets more financial support than any of us every month. Please don't treat her like this. Lu Ning widened her eyes, as if cursing my incompetence. She wanted me to take her away. Yang Yu stared at Lu Ning. Is that so? His gaze was unsettling. He said sarcastically, since the teacher gave you so much money, you should help the teacher share more of the burden. I'll leave all these tasks to you. If you can't finish them, I'll report to the teacher. Yu left. I quickly ran over to Luning to apologize. I'm sorry. Did I say something wrong? Luning sighed. Senior sister, you used to be so smart and hardworking. Just break up. Stop dating. I pretended to look stunned, completely unable to understand what she was saying. I'm sorry, junior sister. I still have to wash my partner's feet tonight, so I'll head off first. Luning was so shocked that her mouth fell open. Senior sister, you ate. The good days without Luning by my side lasted only one day. She realized that Yu wouldn't give her anything, and no one in the research group would either, so she came back to me. In her previous life, the moment she stood on the rooftop, no one cared about the truth anymore. Public opinion was instantly ignited, and all those in similar difficult situations stood against me, despite my efforts to clarify. No one cared about the truth. The only teacher who knew the truth didn't dare to speak up for me, and so, my thesis was published under her name, paving her way to the next step in this life. The reason I didn't dare let her know I had finished the thesis was to prevent her from using the same tactics to push me into a corner and take credit for my work. After coming back, Luning became even more well-behaved than before, and would even occasionally join me in doing experiments. I still shared those private matters with her. Every time, she would look at me with a helpless expression, her eyes filled with sympathy. I guess she must have sworn to herself that she would never end up like me. Senior sister, wake up. What? Junior sister, you don't know how soft a man's lips are. You shouldn't just kiss the upper ones. You've got to kiss the lower ones too. You don't know. Luning interrupted me and went upstairs alone. And so, peace and quiet lasted for quite a while. 3 months later, during a group meeting, she presented her latest paper in front of the entire team. My data, new content, 9. Not just me, everyone present stopped what they were doing. They all knew this was my data, the result of 5 years of work during my master's and PhD. They all turned to look at me in unison, including my advisor. I suppose I should say something, like how I intentionally left that data on the computer for her to steal. I knew she was at her wit's end and would surely resort to new tricks. Turns out, I guess right, and there's no way she wrote this herself. She doesn't have the skill. She hired a ghostwriter and leaked the data too. Of course, the data I gave her was completely fake. Feigning shock, I widened my eyes and gasped, Junior, isn't this my data? That's right, senior sister, you're so caught up in love that you can't make progress on your thesis. For the sake of the research group and our advisor, I had no choice but to sacrifice my own time and write it for you. She didn't even bat an eye. In her mind, was I supposed to thank her for this? Thank you so much, junior sister. To show my gratitude, I'll give you co-first authorship. The lab mates were somewhat surprised. Was co-first authorship really that easy to obtain? They sighed, their eyes seemingly cursing me for being so cowardly. No, senior sister. The paper was written by me. I'm the first author, after all. You've been conducting experiments for so long, so I'll give you second authorship. When job hunting, no one considers second authorship as an achievement. It's just a formality. Shameless. My classmates were all wide-eyed with shock. Slap her, Yu muttered beside me, probably hoping I'd help him settle an old score. But this is Su Qing's data, the teacher interjected with a frown, trying to salvage the situation. Only when Luning saw the teacher siding with me did she lose her composure. I'm just a country girl from a poor family who's never seen much of the world. It took everything I had to get into graduate school. All I wanted was harmonious relationships with my peers, but instead, you all harbor such malice toward me. She spoke above, and I dragged my tone to synchronize below. Having heard these words 800 times, I could recite them backward. I suffer from insomnia every night. The doctor says I'm neurasthenic, now that I've just got my thesis. You're all so jealous of me, Luning flared up. Su Qing, what do you mean by that? I shrugged. You stole my data, and now you won't even let others have feelings about it. Luning glanced around, seeing no one supporting or encouraging her, then gritted her teeth and stormed out of the meeting room. 10. Yu, go after them and see, the teacher called out. Yu waved his hand. Are you sure, teacher? Forget it. Songmingru, you go. Songmingru answered the phone with his black-screened mobile. I'll go, I said, seeing that someone volunteered, sparing him from going himself. The teacher nodded vigorously. Be careful. I followed her to the rooftop, which was only 3 stories high, with green belts below. Having lived a second life, Luning truly hadn't changed a bit. Small stakes, big gains. If she had moral principles and didn't just think about taking shortcuts, she would succeed too, junior sister. Let's talk this out properly. I stood 5 meters away from her when she stopped me, saying she'd jump if I took another step forward. She was holding her phone, live streaming. Take a good look, everyone. This is her, my dear senior sister. I used to adore her so much, working for her every day, and she was only busy with her love life. After I finished compiling the experimental data, she hugged it all for herself, and now she's even trying to steal my first authorship. I'm just a country girl. My family has no money, and I've never seen much of the world. I rubbed my temples and interrupted her. Tears streamed down her face, making her look pitiful. What do you want? Stop talking. I'm sick of hearing it. Lu Ning's face twisted with emotion as she vented into her phone. Look, I'm about to jump off a building, and she still treats me like this. You don't know, she always scolds me. Emotionally manipulates me, making me, who is already insecure, even more cowardly. Her words were choked with sobs. I couldn't help but clap. She stomped her feet angrily and called me crazy. By now, a crowd of students had gathered below, pointing at me and saying, "Can't you be a decent human? Your junior is in such a state, yet you look completely unfazed. Anyone can get into graduate school these days. Who knows what kind of family could raise such a heartless child?" The corners of my lips curled into a smirk as I leaned against the wall behind me, my tone indifferent. "Can you even die from the 3rd floor? If you've got the guts, try the 10th. I could see the excitement in Lu Ning's eyes and guessed that the live stream must be exploding right now. Quick, check Weibo. The people downstairs lit up their phones, and 5 minutes later, they all looked up simultaneously and started cursing at me, even though I carefully avoided the camera while talking to her. I never expected she could fabricate a fake video to slander me in my previous life. At the same time, I asked her why treat me like this? I was so good to her, she said, because only I was good to her. She still had a chance. Thinking back, it still feels absurd that being kind-hearted could also be wrong. Amidst a chorus of insults, Lu Ning was full of provocation, completely embodying the demeanor of a victor. 11. I glanced at my watch. Just one more minute to wait. Lu Ning was about to finish her performance when she suddenly withdrew her foot, and a new message popped up on the Weibo hot search. I opened my phone. It was the clarification video I had scheduled to post. A trending topic: female graduate student in City A bullied by doctoral senior, attempts to jump off a building. New trending topic: plot twist reveals academic gold diggers. This time, I have made thorough preparations to face this game. The unedited original video, along with her chat logs with me and the voice recordings of our late-night phone calls, are all in the 5 GB compressed file. The term gold digger is just so fitting. They always see themselves as the victim, take everything others do for granted, and also take everything others have for granted. If their wishes aren't met or they fail to achieve what others have, they start looking for reasons in others, then resort to improper means to achieve their own goals. This is Lu Ning. The number of people in the live stream has exceeded 100,000. She didn't look well and quickly turned off the live stream. "You scheming woman," she scolded me. I secretly opened the live stream under my account and put on a pitiful tone. "Junior sister, you just lie in the dorm every day. It's normal that you don't have a paper. Please come down quickly." She was completely unrestrained and finally showed her true colors. "Can't you just give me one? I've begged you so many times." Suddenly, a line from a movie came to mind. "I've never seen someone so shameless," I pleaded. "Junior sister, without that paper, I won't be able to graduate." "So what? Is my PhD application more important or your graduation? You don't even consider my situation at all. You know I'm from a rural family, and we don't have money." Here we go again. "Then write it yourself. Go ahead and write it." The phone in my hand suppressed my anger. I could already imagine the heated comments flooding the screen. "If you give me the first authorship, senior sister, I'll forgive you." If Yang Yu were here, she would definitely slap her. I didn't respond, quietly watching her performance while sucking on a lollipop. "You'll regret this." After saying that, she resolutely jumped from the building. The phone recorded everything, and now with 100,000 netizens as witnesses, she can no longer frame me. 12. Sure enough, according to the police, the first thing she said after waking up in the hospital was, "Su Qing pushed me down the stairs." When the police took me away, I immediately showed them the screen recording. The video was filled with a flood of profanities. "It's too dirty." I quickly turned off the comments. "You've worked hard," the police officer said, shaking my hand. That trending topic stayed online for a week, and the school's official account was tagged countless times, demanding that Lu Ning be expelled. I heard that Lu Ning went to see our teacher, trying to get the teacher to say a few words on her behalf. The teacher avoided her as much as possible, mumbling that there are other paths besides studying. This really infuriated Lu Ning. With no sharp objects at hand, she bit our teacher's ear and yelled, "Are you even a teacher? Cowardly and afraid of trouble." That statement actually makes a lot of sense. Lu Ning was detained for false accusation, and by the time she was released, she had already received a notice of expulsion. When she came back to get her things, she held her head high, almost as if she had won, and looked at me with disdain. "Senior sister, you've lost." I looked puzzled. "What have I lost?" "The journal has accepted my paper, and that paper is still mine." I was completely stunned. You actually submitted it already." She was full of pride. "That's right, senior sister, you did well. It's even a top-tier journal." I burst out laughing. Watching her act like a clown, "Yan, you shook me. It's okay. Just use the raw data to prove it to the journal. Don't be like this." They thought I had gone mad with anger. She did what? When I took it, I formatted her computer along the way. "You bitch." Yan Yu raised her hand, ready to slap her. I quickly stepped in to stop her. "After you got out of prison, did you not check the latest updates? You've been blacklisted." I held up the screen showing my successful complaint, with the previous page displaying the report against Lu Ning for academic fraud and hiring a ghostwriter. She probably thought that with her publications, she could pursue a graduate degree or study abroad, which would also allow her to pursue a PhD. But for someone with a tarnished record, the opportunity to pursue a PhD is gone forever. Lu Ning dropped what she was holding, grabbed her textbooks, and threw them all over the lab. In the end, we had to call security to escort her off campus. As I left, her eyes were fixed on me, as if I were her enemy. I did nothing wrong. I was only protecting myself. The 2 papers in my hands can finally see the light of day. Thank goodness for giving me a second chance. However, our teacher was suspended due to negligence, and my corresponding author was replaced by another gentle and amiable female professor from the department. 13. After graduation, I took a position at a university in the city. One day, on my way back, a thug held a knife against my waist. In my previous life, I was killed because Lu Ning spread rumors about me. In this life, since I avoided the rumors, how could this happen? Suddenly, I understood. Fortunately, because of my experience in my previous life, I had lingering fears, so I signed up for self-defense classes and even learned Sanda, seizing the moment when the person behind me wasn't paying attention. I twisted her wrist, flipped her over, and pinned her down, then quickly dialed the emergency number. I pulled down her mask. Sure enough, it was her. "Lu Ning, how could you have no remorse? It's all your fault. Everything is because of you. When I was little, I had my fortune told. They said I could earn a PhD, become a young professor, and make lots of money. It's all because of you that I ended up like this." I pressed down hard on the pinned arm. She let out a pained groan. "I have nothing to say to you. In your heart, there's only ever been yourself. I'll kill you. Kill you," she repeated mechanically, as if these words and scenes had played out in her mind countless times. She went to great lengths to frame me, and even now harbors such hatred toward me. I must be truly unlucky. However, after enduring hardship comes sweetness. From her, I've learned many lessons, like how one shouldn't be overly kind but must show some edge, or else sincerity will always be trampled upon. While waiting for the police to arrive, I couldn't help but reflect. Actually, you don't know this, but I'm also a child from the countryside, and my family was very poor. Education is indeed an important path, but poverty is only physical. Your spirit must never be poor. She struggled wildly, turned her head, and bit me. In pain, I loosened my grip slightly, and she escaped. 14. A year later, when I attended a forum as a young professor, I passed by this street again, walking into a convenience store. I heard the owner mention that a murder had recently occurred. Apparently, it was because a female student committed academic fraud and misconduct. The incident caused a huge uproar, leading the Ministry of Education to launch a strict investigation, exposing many who had previously graduated through deceit. As a result, those individuals also lost their jobs. They resented the girl, stalked her, and killed her. Her death was gruesome. Everything happens for a reason.